FPUC retro, not happening, but you can get UI escalated benefits retro. FPUC will be extended under the third stimulus package at $400 a week from March to August. And UI, PUA, and PUC will be extended as well. How do you get PUA? How do you get UI? What is PUC? And what is raising your benefits retro involve? Enjoy this throwback overnight LA video about unemployment. Suddenly your $600 or $400 FPUC per week is tied up in a big scandal with a guy named Inspector DeJoy. Hey, good afternoon, and du jour, this is LALATE. This is the du jour channel as the Inspector DeJoy scandal erupts and as it impacts your FPUC, UI, and unemployment benefits. This is Afternoons LALATE that starts every day at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time if there's no problems with YT and uploading the video, and then goes to hazard pay, next FPUC, and finally rent assistance. Boy, I mean, what started as such a very easy weekend has literally gone crazy as an inspector DeJoy du jour scandal is erupting that could suddenly actually give you your FPUC as benefits are du jour. As benefits from FEMA, which I guess I said BEMA this morning, are disappearing, and no states want to participate in the du jour design of this whole scandal. Let me get right to the details. FPUC was that $600 from the federal government that we all really loved under UI and PUA back in the great old days of July when everything was so simple in this country. You got that $600 from the federal government land in your bank account for UI and PUA, and we just loved how simple and orderly it was. Now we have an additional level of insanity craziness as an executive order was issued a week ago yesterday that the president said he was going to provide to the American people FPUC extended benefits, or as he calls it, enhanced unemployment benefits, which is what it's called, but it's the fancy version of how you say it. And he was going to do it $400 a week. It sounded good. It was memorialized in executive order. It was completely unlawful, but who cares about laws anymore in this country? It was completely unlawful, but it was issued, and Congress, it required an act of Congress to send out money for the Treasury. So we all sat and said, okay, what's going to happen? Well, come Monday, we found out that the Treasury would not be sending it out because they don't have authority from act of Congress. It's just that little tiny bit we didn't think about when doing the executive order. So guess who's sending out the money? FEMA. Oh, FEMA, not BEMA, as I said earlier today, but FEMA. Only problem is FEMA doesn't have the money. Does anyone check that? If you're going to do this thing, you sort of check that there's money before. I don't know. It's sort of a novel concept. Don't spend money unless you know it's in the bank account. Well, FEMA said, hey, hello, I'm over here. You wrote a bill, an executive order with me. I don't have this money. So what do you expect me to do? Do Parcheesi? Spread some potpourri? What am I doing over here? So that was early in the week. Now the bill started the executive order started $400 a week with $300 coming from the federal government and $100 from the states. And states were so excited about that. The states that are going bankrupt, that aren't making their payroll, that have no money to pay. Yes, I'm not drunk. I'm just a little bit like, this is just insanity. It's just like craziness at this point. So the state said, you know what? I'm going bankrupt. I don't have $100 to spend this week for any of our citizens. So you know what? You do it. And there goes Mitch, because he doesn't want you to hear this. That helicopter just loves the broadcast. So the state said, we're not paying any of this money. So Larry Kudlow, the voice of reason, Mr. Mathematics himself, said, you know what? he said, we're going to change, or no, I'm going to change the bill. So Larry Kudlow, by executive order of Larry Kudlow, changed the executive order and said, you know what, the new order is going to be $300 from the federal government and the states don't have to pay the money. It sounded good. Okay, federal government's going to pay the $300. It's just no one checked where that $300 is coming from. Is it coming on the side of fries from Waffle House with the pancakes? I mean, where was that $300 supposed to come from? No one checked on that. Well, apparently the idea was from the Trump administration, come from FEMA. But no one did the calculations. Or Larry Kudlow did the calculations, just didn't use the newer calculator again. And FEMA quickly said by the middle of the week, hello, everybody, we don't have the money. So where did this go? Well, it went south very quickly. And it went literally south and figuratively south, as southern states actually don't want to participate. In fact, the new data out today is not very clear how many states are participating. Some nice viewers sent me some texts from their some emails from their states they're receiving, and it appears somewhere around, it looked like no states were participating. It looks like about 3 states were participating currently. Arizona is among them. A couple nice viewers sent me some links. I said, hey, send me some links. Is your state participating? And what I mean is that they have actually paid you. I don't mean that they're considering the idea. Now, the rest of the states have literally said, excuse me? What are you talking about, Wills? They're saying, no, we're not doing this. Some have said in their own respectful way. Others have said it's completely unlawful. Go pound sand. I'm not doing this craziness. Go get an act of Congress. Otherwise, don't come back and knock on my door. So different states have said it different ways. Now, how is this suddenly tied up with a guy not named Lovejoy, but DeJoy? If you ever watched that old British show, I loved it back in the days, Lovejoy. Well, no, it's DeJoy. And DeJour, he's the DeJour scandal, the Great Poupon. He is the postmaster general. He is Jovita Carranza of the post office. He's a Trump donor, and he is tied to a very big battleground. And because of this big battleground, there is now chatter that you could get your FPUC faster by agreement of congressional leaders. Now, where are we going with this? Now, before I get to that, let me start with this. Ironically, I was going to start the very morning's LALATE video with new indication that the congressional leaders are thinking of usurping Mnuchin and Meadows and just getting the bill agreed upon, the second stimulus package, without Trump cabinet members. That was the story I was going to lead on today. That sort of got thrown to the side because now congressional leaders are coming back to town is the concept. Nancy Pelosi reached out to all Democratic congressional leaders in both the House and Senate and said, I think you should come back to town. I think you should come back on August 24th. The reason why is there's going to be a congressional hearing as to Inspector DeJoy. And if he doesn't show up, Chuck Schumer is not going to send him some bagels and lox. He's actually going to send him a nice, subpoena and say, get your Inspector DeJoy into my room, DeJour. And if he doesn't, he says it's going to be tough trouble. Now, what does this have to do with FPUC? Some Democrats floated the idea in returning on August 24th about getting a separate bill for expedited federal employment benefits and voting rights. And they're not the only one. Mark Meadows this morning said, hey, I'll give you a second stimulus check right now. Let's do a second stimulus check right now. Let's do it as a separate bill. Let's do it as a separate bill. And you know what? Nancy was asked that question on Friday, and she said, I'll do a separate bill. Mark Meadows continues, said, I'll throw in unemployment benefits in the separate bill, and I'll throw in money for the post office. Well, hallelujah. Maybe. Suddenly, the second stimulus check and unemployment benefits that didn't seem so urgent to these people is now very urgent. What's going on, LA? I smell something. I smell a skunk. I smell something. It's coming from both sides. What's happening is that there's this scandal sort of percolating, and suddenly as the scandal starts to percolate, and the scandal is being recognized by both Republicans and Democrats. Both of them don't like the scandal. They're suddenly saying, avoid that scandal, get this done fast. Suddenly, after not really wanting to take care of your second stimulus check and FPUC and hazard pay and rent assistance, suddenly they're saying, you know what, let's just send all the money out and we'll be all done and we won't have to worry about that scandal. The scandal will sort of, dissolve away. What's happening is that both sides are not agreeing upon that. The Republicans' position has changed literally in the last few hours about how to deal with the scandal. On Friday, the president said that he would not support funding an emergency bill for the post office. The bill is the HEROES Act, $25 billion of emergency injection for the post office to give them additional resources to help with mail-in votes for the 2020 election. He would not support it. That was then. This morning, Mark Meadows says yes. President will give a lot of money. He will give fortunes for the post office, and he'll give you a second stimulus check, and he'll give you unemployment benefits. Just come back to town, everybody. Well, he said Democrats. Come back to town, and let's do it. Sounds good, but is it? Democrats are more skeptical. Why? Because they think it's not just an issue about money, it's also an issue about operations. 700 high-volume mail processing machines gone suddenly. Removal of letter collection boxes in key swing states suddenly gone. Mail arriving later than just be sorted. Mail overtime for postal employees not occurring. Mail operation offices of where you go to do your mail shutting down earlier or not even opening. All in the last 80 days. The Democrats' position is that this is a very serious scandal. The Republicans' position is, it's just a funding problem. Let me give you some money and we'll be done with it. Ultimately, I'm not here to do a mail post office scandal channel, but I'm now indicating to you that suddenly the urgency to get your FPUC is being helped by people who are trying to soften or get rid of a scandal revolving a guy named Inspector DeJoy. I can't write this stuff. I couldn't make it up. I mean, Jackie Collins somewhere is just saying, dude, this is good stuff. Where's my pen and paper? And what's his name? Bailout of states is boring compared to this stuff, and it's only Sunday afternoon. And I'm not even reading the quotes. So what's happening? FPUC. Are you seeing FPUC? Well, some states are paying FPUC at $300 per week. And the number of states is very small, about 300, for weeks from July going forward. For weeks going back, May to July, you're still getting your $600 a week. That's very, very simple. May to July, under the first stimulus package, those weeks you're still getting $600 a week. You still will. The weeks that are at issue, that you certify for July going forward, about 3 states are paying $300 a week. The rest are refusing to pay any of the money. And FEMA says they're running out of money. And we'll run out of money in the next few weeks. Happy Saturday. It just can't get any better than this. It's just, oh my goodness. It's 3:30, and how many more scandals we can have? It's just, we have a couple more hours. Do me a favor. Do me a darn good favor. Go to the front of the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that alert button. I mean, who's covering this stuff in detail like that? I don't see that online. You know why? Because this is literally like 9 different articles. It's literally 9 different articles. Politico. It keeps on going on and on and on and on and on. I'm giving you information about grants. I'm informing you when a new video goes live. I'm telling you updates from Nancy and Steve more than their love fest. More, I'll tell you if Chuck is delivering lox and bagels to DeJoy by the minute. Go to the front of this channel, hit that subscribe and like button, and alert button, that bell, and then drop into the stickies if you're not getting notifications of this channel. Coming up next on LALATE is rent assistance. Oh my goodness. It's insane. And state of LA.